Some huge World of Warcraft news coming out today regarding 10.1 and Season 2. We'll talk about the Mythic Plus dungeon rotation, the affixes for Season 2, or lack thereof, and some honourable mentions at the end. As the channel is primarily Mythic Plus focused, that's what we're going to discuss here today. But as you've probably noticed, this is a short video. I just wanted to share the news and give some of my thoughts and opinions. But before we do get into that, we have a release date for 10.07. 10.07 is bringing some updates and additions to the game, but the one I'm most excited for is the Orc and Human Heritage armor. Well, not so much the humans, more so the Orcs, but yeah. So the release date for 10.07 is the 21st of March for NA on the Tuesday, and then of course a day later on the 22nd on the Wednesday for EU. So, Season 2 Mythic Plus Dungeon Rotation. Well, we wasn't sure if we were going to get the remaining 4 that we currently don't have for Season 1, but it turns out we are. So, we are in fact going to have Halls of Infusion, Brackenhide Hollow, Alderman, and Nelfaris. Yeah, I'm personally not too excited about any of them. I really like the layout and aesthetic of Nelfaris. Alderman doesn't quite appeal to me, and the thought of doing Halls of Infusion and Brackenhide Hollow, yeah, Brackenhide Hollow especially, I just get the feeling groups are going to struggle with that one. It's going to be pretty brutal, and it's really long. I'm also intrigued to find out which direction they go. Do people go left? Do they go right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? After the first boss, you can either go left or right. Typically, I've gone left, but I've had a couple of dungeons recently where the tank's actually gone right. I feel like it's easier going right, but we tend to die a lot. Well, at least my groups tend to die a lot more when we go right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like taking the red pill or the blue pill. So yeah, those are going to be interesting. Along with this, we have Nelfarin's Lair from Legion. We have Freehold and Underrot from Battle for Azeroth. And then we have an interesting one with Vortex Pinnacle. We go as far back as Cataclysm. Now, I'm in two minds about this. I don't quite enjoy the dungeon. I remember very much disliking it with the pug groups at the time, and that was only like normal and heroic versions. But I like the direction. They're clearly testing things. I mean, going back as far as Cataclysm, could you imagine the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King style? Yeah, it's clearly an experiment. They've chosen, perhaps, I don't know, a fan favorite in Vortex Pinnacle, I don't know. But definitely Freehold. Freehold is probably up there as one of the most voted in terms of fan favorite dungeons. So there's no surprise that that's returning. Now, in terms of Nelfarin's Lair, I'm not actually too sure about that one. It is, of course, a dungeon coming back from Legion, but I didn't do a lot of Mythic Plus during Legion, so it's hard to voice an opinion on that one. Of course, some weeks back we did have Legion time walk-ins, and for the most part, this was the dungeon I was given. I think I maybe completed the weekly quest on 3 or 4 characters, and I remember getting this, like, for the majority of the runs. Overall, I don't particularly mind the layout of the dungeon or the aesthetic, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to fare in a Mythic Plus environment. I guess I'll have to wait and see on that one. On to Freehold and Underrot. So Freehold is obviously a fan favourite as mentioned. Yeah, I didn't enjoy this one as much as other people, clearly. I think it was probably a lack of knowledge for the most part. I personally would have brought back something like a Taldazar. But I mean, at least it's nothing like Shrine of the Storm or Siege of Borealis. Yeah, those places were horrible, man. I'm so glad we're not going back there. But at some point, I guess it's inevitable, right? Oh man, I got PTSD from the worms at the beginning of Underrot. So many people are going to die to that. Oh, and the tentacles near the end, just before the last boss. Yeah, that's going to be a good time. So that's my thoughts and opinions on the dungeon rotation for Season 2. There's not too much to say on the topic, but now might be a good time to start looking at the gear that drops from these dungeons, especially some of the trinkets. But along with the trinkets, 3 out of 4 of the old dungeons that we get to visit and go back to, you can actually farm some mounts. So from Underrot, you can get the Krog Harness. From Vortex Pinnacle, you can get the Reins of the Drake of the Northwind. That's a bit of a mouthful. And you can get Sharkbait's favourite crackers from Freehold. And lastly, I just wanted to go over some of the affixes for Season 2. So we'll start with the seasonal affix for Season 2, and that is nothing. They're scrapping it completely. Yep, that's right. For Season 1, we had Thundering. And we thought we were going to get a nice shiny Affix for Season 2, but as it turns out, it didn't go down well with the community. It left a lot of players feeling frustrated, and to answer that, they completely scrapped it. Along with the frustration from the player base, the team are also going to take a look at the level 7 bucket. And it looks as if they're gonna refresh the affixes. So currently in the level 7 bracket, we have Quaking, Grievous, Volcanic, Storming, and Explosive. So we might have affixes removed, added, tweaked. Yeah, who knows what they're gonna do with this one, but it's interesting. No level 10 affix, it's weird. I mean, Thundering was a little overwhelming to begin with, especially the first iteration. But once you get used to it, it's not that bad. I don't know, going into Season 2 I was expecting a whole new affix dedicated to the season, so I'm a little gutted and relieved at the same time. I mean, ultimately it makes my life easier, so yeah, not quite sure what I think of that one. I will of course leave a link to all the Wowhead posts down below in the description, so you can go and check it out and read up on all of the changes coming in 10.1. So that was everything for the Mythic Plus scene for Season 2 and 10.1. Now, I just wanted to quickly skim over some of the honourable mentions that I'm quite excited for, honestly. So the first big one is the fact that we're going to have an introductory to cross-faction guilds, finally. Maybe my Demon Hunter can go back to a Blood Elf. This change was very much needed. It's going to open the doors to so much more. Just the flexibility and being able to like raid and do normal dungeons and stuff like that with all of your friends that are on the opposite faction and you can't queue up with, or just talk to in guild chat. Yeah, massive win here. It should have happened a long time ago. Along with this, they have some additional information regarding the revival catalyst and how it's going to work in 10.1. We have some Black Dragonflight storyline regarding Rathian and Abyssian. God, I hope I said that correctly. Some further UI updates, some class changes, more character customizations, side stories and time gating, some cosmetic glyphs, and much more. Once again, I'll leave links to all of the Wowhead posts we've discussed today in the description. So yeah, 10.1 and Season 2. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the dungeon rotation for Season 2. And what do you think about the seasonal affix? Should they scrap it? Should they add a new one? If you enjoyed the video, a like would be much appreciated. Consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with Season 2 and everything going on in the Mythic Plus scene. And if you'd like to join me for some Keystones, you can catch me live over on Twitch. A link to that and all of my other socials can be found below. But that's me done, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.